Believe it or not, you are light workers. So light workers, what are light workers? We're here vibrating, and so music, and again, we can take this in so many different directions, although I have a lot of examples to show you of different tools and techniques. But everything is vibration. I mean, that's what people are saying. Mystics have said it thousands of years. Scientists are saying it now. The whole universe is a vibratory universe. And so one wonderful model of reality, possible model, Barbara Handclough. And she talks about the different multidimensional levels. And so, fascinatingly enough, you look at, say, source, as this level. And then when you come down from source, you're having this sense of this divine mind, this divine intelligence of what do you want to put, what is the kind of the construct that comes in. And then next comes down is sound. And cymatics are, cymatics is the name of a science now. I don't know if you've seen it. I wish I could have had the video set up here, but we don't have the high tech in this room. But have you seen where people put a little bit of a chord and it shows a vibratory range, and then all of a sudden images form? So I don't know if you've seen it. I gave you a resource for it. It's cymatics. So they have, and they just put salt, kind of fascinating. So they have like a little wire, and they put salt on the table, and they put a certain hertz level, and all of a sudden you're going to see patterns forming. And then they change the level, they amp the level up, and it actually reminds me, after when you look at it, because they have it going through about 12, 15 or so different levels, vibratory levels. And then you might see something that looks like that flower of life design that starts in, again, just table salt and changing the vibration. And it gets more and more and more complex the higher the vibration level. So you're getting to see these wonderful, incredibly designed patterns. So it's almost as, and that's what people are saying, that sound, really, and I gave you a couple of quotes on that, sound is what's bringing the construct of, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. So sound is the first frequency. And then from there, sound comes into the next level down, which would be these templates of reality. And then from there, so it almost reminds me of the Plato's ideal forms, the templates or the geotemplates that people talk about, really the templates, the blueprints of the body, the blueprints of health, the blueprints of everything, fish, whatever. So you're looking at cymatics where they're showing, or you might have seen the water crystals. Moto did the water crystals as well. He did it with sound. He did it with languaging, but he also did it with sound. And the sound, again, changing the shapes of the actual crystalline structure of reality. So sound itself bringing in to the forms, and that's where the forms then become. So then you would have these sacred geometry forms. It always kind of reminds me when I look at these cymatics of the crop circles. And so when people say, not the ones that are the hoaxes, but the ones that we don't know what they are, how they could have come there, it reminds me of this. It looks like just a vibration is coming in, and it actually forms a magnificent geometric pattern. And then that pattern holds the template as you bring it back down now into, actually the form would be 5D, sound would be 6D, according to this model, which is interesting. So these sacred geometry forms, where these glyphs would come in, that you're starting to access the glyphs. So they're sacred geometry, they're glyphs, and they actually inform reality. But above that, the 6D is the actual frequency or the sound itself. And then above that, you have source and divine mind. Then you come down through 4D, which, interestingly enough, 4D usually is archetype level, myth, collective unconscious, some of those things that we grab up here. So when we're grabbing a little above us, we're grabbing right up to the 4D. But many of us are getting 5D and 6D, which is fascinating. And then, of course, the 3D, where we are. And then 2D, telluric, she calls it, elemental. And 1D, the crystalline core, which in a sense also to me kind of probably goes all the way back up to this multi-dimension. So we're really looking at, with sound, with the language of light, and there's a lot of different examples of language of light healing, but we're really looking at multidimensional reality. How are we shifting during this time from this 3D shift through to multidimensional? because it's harder to say, oh, yes, 5, 6, or 7, I mean, it's multidimensional, so it's not really linear, just kind of putting this as a construct that we can understand. But we're looking at how are we moving, because we have already shifted, we're in the process of shift, but it's always interesting to see it like a baby, a newborn, just in the newborn stages. And then working with 5P60 reality, glyphs and sound healing, to really change your reality. I put a couple of quotes there for you, which are magnificent quotes. In the beginning, I put Albert Einstein, of course. If I wanted this, I'd be a musician. I think in music, I daydream in music, I see my life in terms of music. Because I never heard that quote of his. On the next page, I gave you 3 different quotes. One is this great guy, Stuart Green. I don't know if he's still here. Do you know Stuart? He's magnificent, very brilliant physicist who designed a biological, metaphysical program. And I saw him for a whole day. Your head will spin from it. But he talks about the universe being a musical instrument. And from the entangled states, it talks a lot about it from a physicist's lens, which not many physicists talk about the work that we do. As light workers and healers, we actually do the work. Physicists are seeing it on a mathematical, through a different type of a filter of reality. He sees it both. And then this beautiful one, Leah Garfield, she talks about sound being the force holding the galaxy together, everything in the universe having a tone, and sound produces alterations of consciousness, which is what we're going to do today. We're going to alter consciousness based on sound and this language of light healing. And then again, P. Smith Orlean, remember who we are. This is a new book just came out, Larkma. So it's talking about sound giving power to our thoughts, and that's how we create the reality. That the thoughts are there, but sound is the mover. Sound will allow you to anchor it, start anchoring it in. Your reality is largely determined by how you transform your thoughts into sound. So it's kind of a whole fascinating way to look at what's real, what's our life, how do we get what we want.